So recently over on Twitch, the developers Monolith that are creating Middle-earth Shadow of War did a live Q&A where they talked about a bunch of things regarding the new game. Unfortunately, I couldn't catch it, but someone left a comment in the comments of my last video on Shadow of War, so thanks a lot to Malik Gerlach. I think that's how you say your name. I apologize if it's wrong, but thank you so much, because unfortunately I couldn't catch the live event, but he left a comment detailing a lot of the main points they discussed on this live stream. So without further ado, let's get into this video talking about 40 things you need to know about Middle-earth Shadow of War. So to start off, there are multiple areas which are unlocked through conquering of the castles, which are all bigger than the previous maps in the first game, with missions, side quests for each of these hubs, and the world will change depending on the overlord you put in play. So these various regions are going to be open world, they're going to be bigger than what we had in Shadow of Mordor, which is really good news, and these worlds are going to change depending on what you do with the stronghold, which I'm guessing is going to be a main part, you know, of these worlds. So open world confirmed. Open world is now confirmed, which is fantastic. And number 2, we've got it's confirmed that you'll be able to save your guys from dying. So when the big guy goes down in the regular game, you'll be able to save him, he'll be able to be patched up, and most likely, depending on how tough he is, he'll be able to retreat or fight further. So that all depends, so things can change. So the way you see the big dude die, you know, in the demo, that's not necessarily what will happen. He might just get injured, and, you know, it can change depending on how tough they are, well, I guess what level they are, things like that, which is interesting. So at number 3, your followers can be given the role of bodyguards, and they can then be called on in boss battles or at any time, and they'll help you in the fight. But this isn't just like you can just call him in from anywhere in the world. If he can see you and physically get to you, then he'll be able to help you out. But, you know, he's not going to just teleport to you from the other side of the world. So, you know, there's that part of realism there. And number 4, the way the betrayals work is in a way where they can start to hate certain actions that you take. So an example that was given was URUK 1 hates URUK 2. If you promote URUK 2, then URUK 1's going to be angry at you, so he's going to maybe join Sauron. And obviously there's other ways that can happen, such as leaving them wounded on the battlefield or retreating without them, and just doing things they possibly wouldn't agree with, you know, just how normal people would react. And that's going to choose the turn, maybe have them go, you know what, I don't want to be with this guy anymore. I'm going to go join Sauron, because he would, obviously he's going to treat me better, of course, obviously. Yeah. At number 5, some URUKs will be without mind control and will follow you either out of liking you or hating Sauron, which is super interesting. I was hoping this would be a feature, so you don't have to trick everyone into following you. They will just follow you because they just generally like Talion, which is good. That adds another layer to it again. At number 6, there are around 20 of these fortresses from what I could tell, so it's not confirmed that there's 20, but it looks like there's around 20, which is a good number. I would expect around 15 to 20, that kind of number of forts, which gives you a huge amount of, you know, variety and ability to do these, and it looks like they're going to be a ton of fun. At number 7, ring wraiths will be fought in the game, but it seems like they're only going to be a story thing, and they won't just be showing up in the world, you know, they're from side quests or main quests, which is what I would expect as well. So again, not confirmed, but seems to be that that's how you'll encounter those, and you'll be able to fight ring wraiths, which is cool. At number 8, your fortress can be attacked, and you can also reclaim it. So, you know, when you have a fort, it's not yours forever. It can be attacked by those guys. You can defend it. If they capture it, you know, you can reclaim it again, which adds depth to it. So once you've done all the forts, you can still keep doing them, because things can happen in the world. So you don't just complete a fort and then it's done. You know, you'll have more to it, which is good. Means you can keep doing them, and they'll be a good bit of fun and good time to do. And number 9, drakes exist in the open world and can be used without restrictions. So like the Caragors in Shadow of Mordor, you can now get these drakes and you can fly them around the open world, which is fantastic. That means that, you know, you're not just going to have them in mission areas, you can actually use them as, you know, transport, which is fantastic. And number 10, every URUK you have can be trained and upgraded into different classes. There are 2 ways that it can be done, either making them a different class, like turning a Beastmaster into a Flame User, or upgrading a Beastmaster into a sort of Beast Lord, which can command bigger and better creatures. Also, upgrading their gear is possible. So that adds a ton of new ways you can customize your URUK, like friends, your brotherhood, your followers. You can choose what they want to specialize in, what skills you want to give them, what armors you want to give them, and just have your followers to your liking, which is absolutely fantastic news. Also, another thing is in the demo, you might have noticed that it looked pretty easy, and that's because essentially they had God mode on. So there was infinite arrows, infinite health, and executions, essentially just to make the demo run smoother, show off the game, and that kind of thing. The full game game is going to be far more challenging, so you're not going to be able to get through there super easy. You know, the fights are going to be more difficult, it's going to take more strategy and skill, and so that's why it might have looked a little bit easy, because they just wanted to show off the game as much as they possibly could without making it too much of a challenge for the person who was playing. At number 12, your fortress is improvable, and the defenses are changeable. You can create the entire fortress from this gameplay trailer with the oil, the drake, and so on. A fully upgraded castle will be much harder to take down with way more points, and it gives you much more possible war chiefs that'll be able to defend the castle, which is really good that you can actually upgrade these forts. There's so much depth, it seems, to this game, giving you way more, you know, way more shit that you can do, which is really, really good news. I'm really pleased about all this, and hopefully you guys are getting fucking hyped, because as I'm going through this, I'm also getting pretty fucking hyped. At number 13, Talion will get his beard back. So to all the people that are complaining that Talion looks different, his beard's coming back. Don't fear, it'll happen, it'll be there. I'm personally quite happy about this too. I don't really care either way, but Talion does look pretty fucking cool with a beard, let's be honest. At number 14, Uruks weak to fire can die instantly like the Uruk in the trailer, and Uruks immune to it will be able to power through and take part in the battle. So that's the kind of thing you want to do. So if they're going to use fire against you, and your Uruks are, weak to fire, they could die instantly in the section, and you're going to be alone when you go into fight, the war chief. And the overlord, etc. But, you want to customize depending on what you're doing, which is, again, interesting, adds a strategy to the game. At number 15, wounds on the Uruks are a little more detailed. They aren't just 3 cuts and the same burn mark. If a guy gets killed by a dragon and he comes back, he'll look pretty fucked up. A guy that got hit with a sword, not so much, which is good. It means that, again, more story to it, so it'll remember, and that's something that I really loved, the way that, if you stab someone in the head in Shadow of Mordor, he'd end up having this, helmet over his face, because, he'd been fucked up by you previously in the game, and this is going to add onto that, giving it even more stuff, which is really, really good. At 16, Overlords can be taken over instead of completely out in the regular game. They didn't do this in the gameplay because they wanted to show that you can promote your own guy instead, and that'll show the change that happens to the world. So in the actual game, you can just go, you can actually just turn, the Overlord to your side, which is really, really cool. That's another thing that is, of course, something that you might want to do and is really, really interesting. At 17, the Balrog is an in-game enemy, which is really, really interesting. That means we're going to be able to fight him. Is it just going to be in certain missions, or is it just going to be in the open world? Are you going to be able to find a Balrog and just fucking fight it? Because that would be insanely cool. Of course, so the thing is, they're so cool that maybe the novelty will wear off after fighting 20 of them, and you're like, okay, yeah, it's just another Balrog. If they're at certain points in the game or really rare enemies, that would make it way cooler, because then you're like, oh shit, it's a Balrog. Let's maybe run away. At number 18, Talion will interact with his Uruks more. Besides from giving them a pat on the back for good work, like with the nice shot comment, he will also be able to get attached to Uruk. Uruks can also get attached to other Uruks. So as well as having a distaste for certain Uruks, they can also like each other as well, which is good. And that adds a sense of camaraderie, I think. Being able to have, Talion in charge of these guys, but you can also become good friends with them. And you can have this kind of attachment to certain Uruks, and they can have attachment to each other and like each other. And it's a really cool feature that makes it feel like, you've really got, a strong kind of bond there between you and your other Uruk allies. At 19, Uruks no longer have to be grabbed to be turned like it's shown in the gameplay. You can do so like with the regular Uruks in the first game by just holding B or circle, but only after you weaken or terrify them enough. So you don't have to grab hold of them to, brand them. You can also just do it from, just doing it, which is good. That's a good feature, which just adds again to the gameplay. At number 20, depending on the difference of power, your Uruks can pretty much take care of the battle for you if you want. If you send in a level 50 dude against a whole castle level 10, they can pretty much be killed without harming a single hair on your Uruk's face. Which is good. That's fantastic that you can actually do that. And, if you have a high-level guy, you're like, you know what? I trust you. You go take out this stronghold for me. I need something else to be done. I'm going to go take care of that. You take care of this stronghold because, you're good enough. I trust you on this, dude. I trust you on this. That's a cool feature. At number 21, there is an arena in the game that is initiated when you cause 2 Uruks to fight to the death after branding them. I don't know whether it's able for Talion to fight in it. It probably might be, but that's a feature that's in the game. The arena isn't done based from the tribe. It seems that possibly a guy from a fire tribe will have a fire arena, but there might be a guy with a flame axe won't have the same type of flame arena, possibly some kind of exploding barrels that he can throw at you, for example. At number 22, you're able to insert and take over any war chiefs of the castle before attacking it directly, besides the Overlord. This will make the fight a lot easier because you're going to have those guys on your side when you go to take it out, and it means you've got a lot of advantage when you're taking out that Overlord because you're not just going straight for him, and all of his main defenses are going to be taken down. Similarly to the way, they did it in Shadow of Mordor, where when you go to take out a guy, you can take out his bodyguards first. So when you're taking out one of the overlords, you can take out his warchiefs first, so he's not going to have them to help him during the fight during the castle. At number 23, URUKs will have their little own personality traits, like in the first one, but have way more impact. An insane URUK will pretty much be a bad overlord, since he can't really plan a good defense, and a cow will pretty much just run away at the sight of Talion. Which is really cool. That means that, you know, their traits are going to assist in the world. All these things working together, these different things, are just going to make the game insanely deep and just fantastic. At number 24, there are more animals. No word about how big and if they're tameable, but they have said each region has different animals and some that are the same. For example, in the ice region has frost spiders and caragors, while in the desert region has crystal snake and also caragors. That's really fucking interesting, having more, you know, monster kind of things in the game, so you're going to have more things to fight, more things in the open world. That's absolutely fantastic. And number 25, like they show in the trailer, the mount is summonable. Bigger creatures can be unlocked, including the WRAITHS, which is absolutely fantastic news. At number 26, URUKs and Talion can become nearly impossible to kill with many immunities. There will always be some weaknesses, but near the end game, you and your URUKs have so many immunities. For example, in the trailer, Talion gets armor that makes him immune against poison, so he literally can almost not be killed by a poison user, which is interesting. Hopefully it doesn't make it too OP so that Talion can be killed by like nothing. Hopefully there's still a challenge there, but who knows. Still incredibly interesting news. At number 27, the levels have been raised for everyone. No word on how much, but at the least level 50 for Talion, and the URUK's probably much higher, since he's only about mid-game. So for him being nearly at level 50 wouldn't make much sense. And the fortresses can go up to around 300, since there was one in the gameplay, which was at 259, which is fantastic. Adding more levels is always good, and definitely adds to the gameplay. At number 28, there are different types of gear for each URUK. So you have normal, rare, and legendary, and other types of loot you can get from one URUK tribe. Then another completely different item pool for the other URUK tribes. So a Necromancer has around 50 items you can collect just from the Necromancers, and your loot will get better the harder the Necromancer becomes. And then from a Beastmaster, a whole nother item pool is then opened up, meaning there's going to be tons and tons of items in the game from all these various tribes, meaning that there's just a lot of shit. At number 29, in this game, there are now difficulty options. So in the demo, they're playing at normal difficulty. However, there's going to be a ton more difficulties, which means we're going to get a bunch more challenges. For people that like a challenge when playing games, you're going to be able to turn up the difficulty to super hard and just have a fucking blast, just having a difficult time with it, which is fantastic. I'm probably going to play on harder difficulty because, you know, the combat system's pretty easy in Shadow of Mordor, so, you know, it's going to be interesting to be able to play it on a much harder difficulty. At number 30, if URUKs are too powerful, you may not be able to brand them. If you do want to be part of your army, you're going to have to shame them to lower their power until they are at your level, which you can then brand them with. Shunning URUKs debrands them into enemies again. So that's interesting. That's gonna be a cool gameplay feature. I don't imagine if someone's a super high level and you're just finding them, branding them, shaming them over and over and over and over again. That would be pretty strange. But you know, it's a cool gameplay feature for someone that maybe just might be one level above you, lowering their power. So then you can brand them and have them in your army, which is super cool. And number 31, the fight to the death option when you dominate an enemy is where you make one URUK challenge another in an arena. That's super cool. So that's gonna be two URUKs fighting each other to the death, which is fantastic. That's a super cool feature, and that's going to be fun to experiment with. And number 32, the more upgraded the fortress, the more warchiefs you can have in it, and you're able to tell the warchief which part they should defend. For example, a sniper on the tower will do a lot more than on the ground, which is a good feature, being able to customize your fort again and the defenses that are there against the enemy. And number 33, you have a lance, which is seen when riding the Caragor, and the hammer, which you can use to bash in an URUK's face. These can be used as real in-game weapons, which you can use for both piercing and swiping enemies' feet away to make them fall. And number 34, all stuff from the first game is included, so stuff like leveling the URUKs, free roam outside of the missions are also included. So everything from the first game is going to be in this game, they're just adding more shit, which is absolutely fantastic news. At number 35, the creatures have variations depending on the region. So a Grog inside of a snow part will have fur, for example, which is fantastic. Gonna be getting those variations. Little details like that are always fantastic. At number 36, the skill tree will be much bigger. The ability to pull an enemy towards you instead of teleporting to him. For example, you can sprint faster and jump higher. Double takedowns are also a thing, which are fantastic, having all these different features that are gonna be in the game, giving us a lot more abilities. Big skill trees are always good. At number 37, there will be a store. Depending on the region, there will be a different kind of economy. So that's fantastic, adding these new kinds of RPG elements, something that I wanted. So depending on the region, you can have a different economy. So things are going to cost more, things are going to cost less. And just being able to buy items is always good in video games. At number 38, the appearance of the loot and the orc itself will change depending on the area. For example, a more fur-based armor in the snowy setting, which is fantastic. Again, just little details like this are always really, really good. Number 39, as a quick reminder to many people, since I am not sure everybody knows, there are now ice-based attacks and enemies in the game, which means they're now, so in the ice region, we're now going to have there's gonna be ice enemies and ice attacks like there were fire ones and, you know, poison enemies. They've now got ice types, which is fantastic, adding more types of enemies. And at number 40, they've said they'll be doing another Q&A sometime in the coming week, so stay tuned for that. I'll be covering it probably on this channel, so subscribe if you haven't already. But that covers all of the things on this list so far. So thanks for watching. I do hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to hit that like button because that'd be absolutely fantastic. Subscribe if you haven't already to stay up to date on all things Shadow of War, including other games. And we'll probably be talking about stuff like this on Kill Connor Club in the future, which will be good time. Can't wait for this game to come out. Can't wait to see more about it. Hopefully you guys are hyped as well. Let me know in the comment section below which is your favorite point that I went over. That would be interesting to see. Thank you guys for watching anyways, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.
Leaping from my places, rivers are flowing red. Now we're defying, now we're uniting. Go watching from the skies. These streets are burning up. They're starting fights here. I'm gonna take it to 'em all.